Question number 2, Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he have confidence in all his ministers?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes.
Wrong, David.
Honourable Order. Honourable David Parker.
Why does he have confidence in the Minister of Housing, who now says New Zealanders will have to wait 20 years for affordable housing under his government?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I don't think the Minister said that. What the Minister did say is it's a very long-run process. And, Mr Speaker, I'd note that if one looks at home ownership rates, they've been declining actually since 1991. What is, of course, great concern to many New Zealanders is the way that house prices doubled under the previous Labor government.
Supplementary.
Order, order. I'm just waiting. Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Why should a young couple in their early 30s facing an average house price in Auckland nudging $700,000 have to wait 20 years until they're in their 50s and their children have already moved out before they can buy a house?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, this may come to a shock to the member, but there are many young couples in their 30s who are out there buying houses today. Those lucky couples will almost certainly have jobs under a national-led government, paying interest rates which are a fraction of what this government inherited when we came into office. And, Mr Speaker, they'll also be subject to all of the things that this government is doing, including housing accords in Auckland, looking at development contributions, dealing with reform of things like the RMA. Mr Speaker, there is no silver bullet to the housing issue, but what we do know is house prices under this government have gone up 23%. They doubled under Labor, and no amount of being a lion in opposition will make up for the fact they were a bunch of little lambs when they were in government.
Order. I don't think that's going to help the order of the House. Order. Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Was his decision to abandon yesterday's challenge to debate housing policy with David Cunliffe on national TV a result of overnight focus groups and polling showing New Zealand?
Order! I heard the first part of the question. I'm struggling to hear the second part, and I need to. So I require a little less interjection. Would the member please start his question again?
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Was the Prime Minister's decision to abandon yesterday's challenge to debate housing policy with David Cunliffe on national TV a result of his focus groups and polling overnight showing that New Zealanders know his housing policy is such a shambles, he's best to leave it to Nick Smith to take the rap?
Well, Mr Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
For a start-off, I'd be happy to debate David Cunliffe in Parliament if he'd like to turn up. That's the first thing. The second thing, Mr Speaker, was I made it quite clear, actually.
Order.
We were more than happy to have that debate, which we will be in the first debate on TV1. And if we want to get into polling, I hate to tell the Labor members, but on our polls, Labor were at 26% last week.
Supplementary.
Order. 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 Order.
Supplementary.
Honourable David Parker.
Who is correct? Bill English, who said we won't collect data on overseas buyers of New Zealand houses. Last week's Prime Minister, who said we won't collect data on overseas buyers. Or yesterday's Prime Minister, who said that concerns around overseas buyers are credible and he might now gather the data.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the point we've been making is the right point, which is we don't think actually foreign purchases of houses are a significant impact on housing prices in Auckland or around New Zealand. What's also true is that there isn't actually a lot of credible data out there, but the data we do have certainly indicates that. But, Mr Speaker, as I've said, it's always a possibility to look at that, but I think it's a very challenging thing to do because people can buy properties through trusts or through companies or for many other structures. What I do know is that Labor in Australia have introduced what Labor in New Zealand are talking about, and what's interesting in Australia is there are more foreign purchases taking place in Australia than New Zealand, and secondly, unaffordability is higher in Australia than it is in New Zealand. It's 9 times the average wage to buy a house in Sydney and 7 times in Auckland.
Supplementary.
What a supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
With the average Auckland house price having increased by $200,000 under his watch and now nudging $700,000 each, LVR's hurting first home buyers and provincial New Zealanders, and his own admission that after 6 years of his government, Auckland's only building a third of the new houses they needed. Isn't it time he admitted that his housing policy and Nick Smith's is a complete shambles?
Well,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's just run through a few facts. I hate to put them in sway of the members' arguments, but house prices doubled under the 9 years of Labor. They've gone up 23% on average under this government in 5.5 years. When those homeowners go to buy a house under this government, they're facing a base rate of 2.75%. Under the previous government, they were 8.5%. It's this government that has a special housing accord established with Auckland that will see 13,000 sections consented and homes built over a period of time. For the next 3 years, 39,000 sections. It's this government that's looking at the cost of building materials, and it's this government that's actually looking at development contributions. Mr. Speaker, the member needs to go and ring up Helen Clark because she spent months and months, in fact years, working on housing issues because they were such a big issue under her government and ignored every recommendation they got. That's why house prices doubled under Labor.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Can he confirm that the number of building consents issued nationally in the last 5 years, even with the Canterbury rebuild, is 100,000 down on the previous 5 years?
Mr. Speaker,
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have that data, but what I do have is that in February there were 21,854 consents, more than any other period of time. Of course, during the global financial crisis, there would have been a significant reduction in demand, and with Christchurch there was a reduction in demand, but it's pretty simple. This is the message. Under 9 years of Labor, house prices doubled and interest rates went through the roof.
Order. Question number 3, Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the